Alright guys, this is a tutorial for the T-Shirt Overlay project. First thing you're going to do is open the two pictures that you've decided to use to create your final image. I'm going to use this picture with the nice white shirt as my base picture, and then my big head over here is going to be the overlay picture. First thing I'm going to do for this project is copy the overlay picture by doing Control A to select all, Control C to copy. Then I can go ahead and close that and Control V to paste it on my background image. You'll notice that the picture at this point is way too big to cover my shirt, so I'm going to resize it. To resize the picture, there's a couple different ways you can do it. What I usually like to do is just click on this little thing that says Show Transform Controls. Puts these little squares in the corner that you can grab a hold of, and you can resize your picture to the size that you need. Important thing is that the unnatural edges, such as the top of my head, need to extend beyond the surface that we're going to put our overlay over. So I have my head and it's going to go past all edges of the shirt. Kind of just give it a rough position there. Hit enter to fix the size, and I click that off to get rid of those transform controls because they start to bug me after a while. Now I'm going to go in and lower the opacity of this overlay image just so that I can see my shirt and shoulders and neck shining through there a little bit. Zoom in, and here we're going to get rid of the extra information that we don't need. Again, there's lots of ways to do it. The way I prefer is called layer mask. Click on this little icon, the square with the circle in it, in the bottom right hand corner. Creates a layer mask over here. You'll see that everything's white. That means that everything there on your layer mask is shining through. We want to hide some things though, so I'm going to switch this color here to black. Grab a paintbrush with a medium hardness and just the right brush size there. I'm going to brush away the material that I don't need. The reason I use layer mask as opposed to an eraser is you see this edge where I've gone too far, I've erased too much. I just switch that back to white and I can paint those pixels right back in. This time I'll do it a little more carefully so as to keep the edges. I just kind of go through that process until I've erased all the extra information that I don't need in my picture. Got kind of a hard edge going there. Alright, fast forward just a little bit here to where I've gotten rid of all the extra image that I didn't need. Now all I have of the overlay layer is the amount that covers the shirt. Got the shirt there and big old head on top of it. Next thing we need to do is create a displacement layer. To create the displacement layer, we want to hide this over information that we don't need. I want to go to the Channels tab down in the bottom right. Click on the Channels tab. We're going to explore each of these three channels, and all you're looking for is whichever channel has the most contrast. Now where we have a white shirt that we'll be working with, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between the three channels, but it looks like blue is the channel with the most contrast here. So I'm going to do File, Save As. I'm just going to save this on my desktop, and I'm going to call it Displacement Layer. Save that as a Photoshop document. Once I get that saved, I bring all my channels back, go back, and I can turn my layer back on. I'm going to select this layer again. Make sure you have the image square selected instead of the mask layer on this little square right there. Then I'm going to go to Filter, Distort, and Displace. And this is where we'll use that displacement image we just created. No need to make any changes there, just click OK. It'll ask you what you want to open. I'm going to open displacement layer that you just saved. And that's going to displace the image. It doesn't look like it does a whole lot. We'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see some of the minor changes that it makes in our image. I'm going to do Control Z to undo and redo. Really, it just kind of looks like it shifts the image a little bit. Well, you start to see down in the nose area here that it's actually adding some texture. And what it's doing is it's adding the same texture that's in the shirt there. You see that texture there in the shirt. It's going to create a more realistic look in the end. So we'll zoom back out so we see the whole thing. And we're almost done here. Next thing is there's two options. We can change the layer style to overlay. And if you do it that way, you usually have to duplicate the layer to give it a more realistic look. Personally, I don't really like that. I prefer to leave it on normal and just lower the opacity. Oh, looks like I put it on dissolve. Normal right there. Strip it out for a minute. I'm just going to lower the opacity until it looks about right. And now looking at this, I noticed that I'm getting some bleed over on the neck here. I go back to that layer mask with my black brush. Use a smaller black brush. I touch that neck back up. Bring a little detail back there. And that's pretty much it. There is your t-shirt overlay with your image, background image, and your foreground image overlaid onto the t-shirt.